Vocabulary 6.3c Intro video. In this video, I'm going to read through the definitions, talk about the words, and then preview the rest of the pages and tell you what you are supposed to do. Our first word is allegiance. It's a noun. Allegiance means loyalty or devotion. So Charlotte's allegiance to her farm animals was an inspiration to all of us. This is when you have loyalty, you have allegiance. Chronological means it's occurring or going in order of time. So you often hear chronological order means it's going in order of the time that it happened. Mrs. Swanson had us do an activity in history class where we had to place a bunch of historical events in chronological order without the aid of our textbook. So synonyms, we have consecutive, antonyms, random. Other forms, when events are arranged in time, they form a chronology. So chronological just means it happens in order of the time. 3, context. The context of something, context is a noun, is the background or situation for something. So you always hear about how things happen in certain contexts and certain backgrounds or situations. Shauna always takes my comments out of context, and therefore I look like a mean person. 4, diligent. Diligent is an adjective. If you're diligent, you are hardworking or thorough. Amir was such a diligent worker that he was recognized as Employee of the Month for 5 months in a row. Antonyms, we have lazy or negligent. Generate is a verb. It means to produce or create. The principal asked the teachers to generate a list of students who were passing and not passing their classes. Opposites or antonyms, we have to destroy or demolish. Number 6, majority is a noun. The majority of something is the greater part of it or the larger number. So a majority of the athletes had bruises on their bodies from the rough game the night before, which means more than less. The greater number of athletes had bruises. An antonym or an opposite would be minority. 7, meager is an adjective, which means not enough or inadequate. If you have a meager dinner, it means it wasn't enough, you weren't full. A meager harvest can mean that some farmers won't be able to pay their bills. 8, negotiate is a verb. When you negotiate, you bargain. You try to get the best deal. Bailey tried to negotiate with the assistant principal and convince him that he should only serve 3, not 11 detentions. So a synonym, we have to haggle. Number 9, an obstacle is something that gets in your way. It's an obstruction. The campers encountered an obstacle on the hiking trail, which forced them to rappel down the mountain. So synonyms, barrier or hurdle. Number 10, possess. If you possess something, you own it, occupy, or control. I possess some antique coins that are worth a lot of money. Poverty is a noun, which is the state of being poor. The poverty in the inner city was out of control, so the mayor was attempting to solve it with new programs and policies. 12 is prejudice, which is a noun. A prejudice is when judging someone or something before you know much about them. It's a preconceived attitude. It's like you already have this thought in your mind without knowing them or knowing the situation. Mostly because of prejudice, the short person found it hard to get a job as a salesman. Synonyms, intolerance or discrimination. 13 is prosecute, which is a verb. When you prosecute someone, you're accusing them or you put them on trial. The attorney was hoping to prosecute Kimball to the full extent of the law. An opposite or antonym of prosecute would be to defend them. 14, remote is an adjective, not like your TV remote. If you're describing a place as remote, it means it's far out of the way, it's distant, it's like out in the country, in the backwoods. Tokyo is not a remote town, but a small Japanese fishing village is. Antonym would be nearby. Last word is transform, which is a verb. Transform means to change. Some reality TV shows like to transform people with complete makeovers and surprise their family. All right, so as we have in the past, for 3D, you're going to fix the mistake. The word in bold is the wrong word. You need to look through the list, and if you look at the top here, they are all listed up here for easy access. You need to find the word that fits and just write that word on the line below. So there are 15 of those. 3E, pick the winner. This is the same as the previous packets. Circle the word that finishes the sentence, and then use the other word that you didn't pick in your own sentence below. So that one's tricky. Read the directions if you are not sure what to do. 3F, draw the relationship. So either the vocab word will have a synonym or an antonym match. So remote, for example, I'm just looking around at the words. Nearby, so I would draw a line between nearby and remote. Those are antonyms, they're opposites. 3G, this is a story with the questions read. With 5 questions after it. And then the last one is just creative questions. I am going to read this story right now out loud to you because it looks like a tough one. So here I go. Apartheid was a system of separating or segregating races from one another in the country of South Africa. It was an institution that existed for many years, since it was backed by laws. To provide some context chronologically, it started in the year 1948, and it was finally dissolved in the year 1994 when the South African government held its first truly democratic elections. Prior to 1994, the system prevented Black people from having the opportunity to vote in all elections. It was a system based on prejudice, in which the white minority tried to control the Black majority. Blacks were only allowed to vote in remote regions called Bantuistans. Many Black people lived and worked in the white regions in the country which had better land for farming. Since they were still not able to vote there, Black citizens could only vote in the Black regions. There were other obstacles for Blacks in South Africa as well. The education provided in all Black schools was worse than the education provided in all white schools. Without a voice in the government or the right to vote, Black South Africans could not transform the system of apartheid into something fair for everyone. If they spoke up against apartheid, then they would be breaking the law and would be prosecuted for it. Breaking the law is exactly what Nelson Mandela did in an attempt to bring about change. At first, he tried to end apartheid through peaceful negotiations, but when that failed, violence erupted. He was prosecuted and sentenced to 27 years in prison for his actions. He did not give up, however, on his dream to end apartheid in South Africa. After his release in the year 1990, he again took a peaceful approach for ending this unfair system. After 3 long years of peaceful negotiations, Nelson Mandela finally achieved his goal and apartheid ended. Now all South Africans, regardless of their race, could pledge their allegiance to a new integrated country and its first democratically elected president, Nelson Mandela.